Good morning, everyone. This is Charles Henson, Vice President of Nashville Computer. Today we're going to talk about traditional backup versus continuous data protection. Nashville Computer, as you know, has been in business since 1988, thanks to clients like you. And on the screen are a few of the services that we have provided and do provide for you. So what's wrong with the status quo? Traditional backups have shown that doing studies on these backups show that over 50% of small businesses lack a disaster recovery strategy or plan. 2 out of 5 businesses that experience a disaster generally go out of business within 5 years of the event. 71% of tape restores fail. Another research shows that 54% of tape backups fail. Either way, the numbers are stacked against you if you're still using traditional tape backup. Generally, tapes are only a 1 or 2 week rotation, so you only have backup from the last good backup, and that's from the previous night's tape. There's various types of backups. Some people use CD drives, thumb drives. They'll carry them in their purses or put them in their cars and take them home. Tapes have long been used, and enterprise companies had been using NAS devices to replicate data over to another device, and enterprise has even started to abandon this type of backup due to latency on their networks. Another very common type of offsite backup is the just offsite, using something like there's a couple different products out there. One I can't think of right at the moment advertises a lot online, but they back up your data across the internet, and that's all you get is just the data across the internet. When it comes time to restore those, then it's very slow to restore because you have to copy your data back across the internet, back to your location. They don't back up your user accounts, they don't back up your file permission, the server settings, things of that nature. So if you're backing up your server, then you're only getting the files sent off-site. So if your server should fail, it would take a long time to recover those files and get your server back up, and it could incur a large service bill to get it fully restored. Typically, they don't monitor the backups. They leave that up to the business owner or the person that's in charge of the backup to monitor that, which shifts the risk back to you. If you remember the flood of 2010, a lot of companies had their tape drives and their data on their servers, their backups, and their equipment submerged underwater. We got several of the machines in here, and they were full of mud and unusable. We tried to dry out some of the machines, but there was no way that those machines would ever be able to be used again. So if a company did not have their data in an off-site facility, then they were pretty much out of luck. This is John Mazzatti in Joplin, Missouri. He's an IT guy that I'm friends with. He is standing where his building used to stand earlier that day. So he lost everything in the Joplin, Missouri tornado in May of 2011. It did not affect his family or his employees, but it did affect his business. And he lost every piece of paper, every computer, every device at his office was gone. So traditional backups, if you have a server failure or if the site goes away, your building goes away or happens to have a flood or something, a replacement server has to be ordered. And in John's case, he couldn't get a server replacement in because FedEx could not get to certain streets in their town. There were just certain areas that you just couldn't get to. So even though he ordered equipment, suppliers could not get it to him because they couldn't access the roads. Once you have a server crash, you have to get the same tape hardware and software that you were using before. If you don't have it documented what kind it was, then it's going to be a much harder task to get that back. The server replacement has to be, the software has to be reinstalled on the server once the server gets there, and you can only restore from the last good backup that you have. And that's if you have the backup that you've taken home with you or to an off-site location. And it is nearly impossible to recover in the event of the loss of site or a theft. So if they come in and take your server and all your tapes, then you're pretty much without any data whatsoever. So the question to ask yourself is, if your server crashes, gets stolen, you get a flood or a tornado comes through, or some other natural disaster, how much is it going to cost your business? Not just from the standpoint of how much does it cost to replace the equipment, and I know you have insurance that helps cover that, but think about the loss of revenue. Are your clients going elsewhere? Are they going to come back to you later? Loss of billable time or service that you deliver, the cost of the non-productive employees, and how long can you survive without that data? Not knowing if you can contact your clients to let them know that you're not going to be able to make appointments or other issues. In the flood of 2010, we had one client that had medical patient prescription information, and it was time sensitive how much medication to give to each patient, and it was very critical to get those servers back up and going. Costs associated with traditional backups: if the tape drive fails, it's anywhere from $800 to $1,500 to replace the actual device, more in some scenarios. Tape media needs to be replaced every year. If you're not replacing your tape media, it is a magnetic strip and it can fail, and it will fail. So you need to make sure that you're replacing that. Backup software companies have gone to a licensing model where you pay for an annual subscription to get new maintenance updates for their software as well as support. Service fees associated with the failed backups, and the in-house person that actually has to maintain the backups, who has to rotate them, who has to check the jobs to see if it's working, check the logs, things of that nature. There's a cost there that you're paying that employee. All right. So Nashville Computer offers a continuous data protection server that is a physical server that is fully managed and monitored by Nashville Computer. If the backup fails, we work to resolve it. If the server fails, we work to resolve that issue. If the server has a problem and we have to replace it, there's never a charge to you. It's just part of the service that we provide for you. It does a rapid disk-to-disk backup and restore from the local server, so that backups and restores happen in just minutes. So typically what you would have is your servers on site at your location, and you may have a mail server, application server, database server. Some people just have one, and some people may have 15 to 30. So what we do is we actually take your data and back it up to our server, our continuous data protection server. That server is then monitored 24/7 by our team off-site. So if your backup is failing, or if there's a problem going on with your servers, then we're alerted that there's an issue going on. We then take your data and we send it securely using 256-bit encryption off to an off-site location. That off-site location is then replicated to a secondary off-site location. One is on the East Coast and one is on the West Coast. So your data is actually on your servers, on the continuous data protection server, 2 remote locations. So your data is in 4 different locations. So the ability to recover is much greater. The way we back up is block level. We do an initial full base image backup. We back up your entire server, and then after that, every backup after that is just a snapshot of only what has changed. We do it at the block level, not the file level. So what happens is you're able to continue working in Word and Excel and continue having these applications and programs open, and we can back up the data even though the files are open. And that's the same with databases as well. We can set different retention policies, unlike traditional tape backup or other backups that you may be using, where you're sending your data to a tape or a device once a day. We can set up incremental points every 15 minutes. So if you're working on a huge Excel document or a tax return or something that's very important, very critical, every 15 minutes the changes are being copied to our backup server. We set daily restore points so that we can go back 14 days worth of backups. In the 15-minute increments, we can go back to 2 days. So we can go back 2 days ago in 15-minute increments. So say 23 hours ago you had a file you were working on, we can grab that within 4 times within that 23-hour period. There'll be 4 different versions of that same file. We set up weekly restore points, and then we set up monthly restore points that go back as far as we need to, or as far as that you request. The retention policy on the local device is set. The offsite data is set to be the last day from the last night that it went offsite. As I mentioned earlier, we can back up individual files and folders. Your email, if you have your inbox open and there's a new message comes in and our backup runs within that 15-minute increment, then any mailbox, any data that's in that mailbox then gets backed up. So if you accidentally delete something 16 minutes after you receive it, we're able to go back and grab that file and restore that email. Mailboxes are backed up, so we can restore an individual mailbox. So if you accidentally delete the wrong user account, then we can go and restore just one person's mailbox without affecting the entire company. Restore operations are much easier and more efficient because we're able to redeploy your entire server configuration to a different set of servers. So if you have an HP server today or a Dell server and that server dies and that you need to buy a replacement, then we're able to take your last backup image and restore it to that dissimilar hardware. Even though it's a different manufacturer, we can still restore your data in just a matter of a few hours, whereas in the past, if you had a tape drive, you were not able to restore that data to different hardware. It just would not restore. It would take days to get it to work properly. So in a loss of server scenario, your server dies, a part fails, some data gets corrupted, whatever happens, you're unable to access your data. We're able to virtualize that last backup within that 15-minute increment of when the server last backed up. We're able to get your server back up in a virtual environment on the actual Continuous Data Protection server. So then your users are able to get in and access the server just as they were before. It's just now running in a virtual environment. So your physical server may have died. Now we're running on a virtual until we can order new hardware and do a bare metal restore to get you back onto a live physical server. And this is very beneficial because in days past, you would have to wait until the server was ordered. Maybe you got it overnighted, software was installed, the catalog had to be run on the tapes, which could take hours, and then we had to restore the media, which could take 8 to 10 hours. And by the time we got the server back up, your employees have been without that server for 3 days or so. With this, you're without your server for just a few hours. In some cases, in one case, we had a client that was down only for 45 minutes. So if you lost your entire site, how would we handle that? Because now we don't have access to the servers. Well, instead of virtualizing on the physical server that would be at your device, we would actually virtualize in the cloud at the remote data center. the client can go home, grab a home computer or a laptop, or run to, you know, Best Buy or somewhere and grab an inexpensive computer, connect it up to the internet, and have access to your data files and your email and get to the critical business information that you need to get to during your time of need. Nashville Computer can order replacement equipment for you, and then the team can work to get your server working at your new facility. So in that loss of site scenario, what happens is a replacement unit can be shipped to us overnight so that we can have you back up and going at a temporary location if you choose to do that instead of running from the cloud. You can connect your workstations to the virtual servers, and users can begin working as they were before the loss of site occurred. Obviously, you won't be in your facility, but you'll still be able to gain access to all your data, your documents, your emails, and you'll be able to communicate with your clientele. So here what we have is a site failure where we lost the entire site. So we've got the mail server that's dead, the database server, the file server, the actual continuous data protection server is gone, all your equipment is gone. So we would take and replicate your information from the remote site to a new instance and give you access to it via the cloud. While we're running in the cloud and running on the remote machine, then another unit is going to be transferred, all of your data is going to be transferred to that unit, and then it's going to be overnighted via the fastest shipping method to a facility, whether it's yours or drop shipped to our office so that we can deliver it on site to help you get back up and going quickly. Once we get the new server in, then we're going to bring it to your site. We're going to virtualize your existing servers that you already had running, and we're going to run on those in the temporary site. We're going to give your client access, any new devices that you may have had to purchase or bring in from home, then we will connect those up to the server, and then we will work with you to get your site back to the way it was prior to the disaster. So then we would be monitoring it again and sending it off-site. So the business continuity loss of site scenario walks you through how we can get you back up and going in the event that you lose everything in your business. Nashville Computer can provide assistance in setting up a site for you, setting up a temporary location, including cabling, switches, firewalls, servers, printers, pretty much anything that you would need. We had a client a few years ago that experienced a fire in their building, and we were able to, they subleased a space on a month-to-month contract, and we were able to get them up and going in a large, it was like a 50 by 30 room with folding tables. We were able to get them back up and going in that one room. They were able to work and do everything that they normally did in that temporary environment. Right now, we're offering a special. It's very limited time. The time's about to run out on this. An offering of unlimited offsite storage. So a lot of the options that we give you is up to 75 gigs or up to 150 gigs, depending on the amount of data you have. For a limited time, you can sign up and get unlimited offsite storage. So as your business continues to grow, your backup cost doesn't increase. Just to give you an idea, the cost of a single server can be as low as $10 per day. And now you can't say, well, I have 3 servers, so it's $30 per day. It doesn't work that way. But just to kind of give you a ballpark, it can be somewhere around $10 per day for a single server with data going off-site with about 75 gigs. You can call or email us. My email is charles@nashvillecomputer.com. And you know, just having never having to worry about your data and your backups sounds really good, doesn't it? I mean, wouldn't you just love to have peace of mind knowing that you don't ever have to change the tape, you don't have to worry about, you know, is my data safe? Where is my backup? Oh, I have to, you know, carry this tape home or this thumb drive home. And just knowing that it's there and being backed up and monitored 24/7 gives you total peace of mind. So just want to kind of recap. With the Continuous Data Protection Server, we're able to rapidly restore user access to the server in the event of a loss of site or the loss of a single server. We're doing continuous 15-minute block level backups. Servers are being monitored 24/7. The data is encrypted going off-site end to endpoint. The on-site server is provided and maintained by Nashville Computer, so you don't have to worry about a capital expense of buying a replacement backup if that one should fail. We will continue to take care of it, and there's no expected capital expenses or surprises with this. You pay a set fee, and that fee doesn't change. So, in conclusion, it's affordable, effective, reliable data protection. It's headache-free management of your backups, and it's an enterprise-level backup at a small business price. So this backup has only been available for enterprise-level backup or enterprise-level companies that could afford to back up their data in such a manner. You get assurance that your data and your business are going to keep going no matter what. So we're able to recover from a disaster so that you can continue to drive your business. All this would give you total peace of mind. We have a testimonial here from an attorney's office that we were able to go in and recover some backup files for I believe it was a hearing that they had, and the files had just disappeared from their computers. They were not able to tell where the files went, who deleted them, what had happened to them. Did somebody copy them somewhere else? But we were able to go back, and within a 15-minute increment in time, we were able to go back and restore those files from the backup unit. And by doing that, they were able to avoid a disaster and having to go to court and say, hey, we don't have our papers, we don't have our information. We're going to have to spend another large amount of time rebuilding this information. So another case scenario, Dr. Horn called up one Friday morning, didn't know how many patients were coming in. They didn't know what was going on. Their server had crashed, and it would not boot up. So we spent a few minutes trying to get it up and going. Couldn't get it going, so he was like, I need to be able to do billing. I need to be able to schedule new appointments. I don't know which patients are coming in. I don't have access to their x-rays or any of their medical history as far as the past cleanings and things of that nature. In this case scenario, within less than 45 minutes, we were able to get his server up and running in a virtual environment using our Continuous Data Protection Server. By doing that, I actually did it from our office here, so there was no drive time involved. I was able to get in, start the virtualization of the server. I worked with Dr. Horn, and he verified that his machines were able to access the server within 45 minutes of that. They continued seeing patients all day Friday. We ordered new drives for his server, which is why it failed. Saturday delivery, the drives came in. On Saturday, we were able to recover his server using the backup. We just did the bare metal restore back over to his new hard drives, and everything was up and going Monday morning when they came into their office. So if you have any questions, comments, or anything at all, please feel free to give me a call at 615-377-0054, or shoot me an email, charles@nashvillecomputer.com. I'll be happy to answer any questions for you. If you would like a free, no obligation backup analysis, we'll be glad to send an engineer out, look at your network infrastructure, see how many servers you have, what equipment you have, what needs to be backed up, and we'll put a proposal together for you and let you know what it would take to give you total peace of mind in backing up your data. So on behalf of Nashville Computer, our entire team, we thank you for joining us today and look forward to hearing from you. Thank you.